How did you become your family's black sheep? I was adopted at birth. That's it. I was always treated as a baffling oddity because I was half Puerto Rican, despite being adopted at 3 months old. My grandmother always introduced me with "and this is our adopted grandafter," without ever bothering to tell anyone my name. No one ever noticed. I got astonishingly good at not existing, for refusing my sister's toxic behavior in my life. My family is the kind of family where the saying "family is family" really is implemented. However, not with me. I tolerate what I want. If you are a piece of shit, you don't deserve to be in my life. My family did not accept that, and well, being significantly more mentally stable and responsible, also not enabling or making excuses for a problematic relative's behavior, pursuing my constructive life passions and even morphing them into my work, making a good living at it, and being happy and unapologetic about it. Instead of doing something my parent thought I should be doing instead, something that wasn't a waste of my time like a real job. I'm the only one of my siblings without a DUI, or any other illegal issues. Still the black sheep. I don't like to drink. Everyone wanted to go to a bar. I said, "Okay, you guys have fun, I'm gonna go this way." Suddenly it was a whole thing after the fact. Whatever, I had a lovely time with a book at a dessert coffee spot. It was a long time ago. But my older sisters were attending Wharton and MIT at the time. The best I could do was Carnegie Mellon. I still remember the look of utter disappointment on my parents' faces. I was always a black sheep. Still am, no matter what. Was picked apart by every family member since birth, basically. I never felt welcome, for being molested as a child for years by my stepfather, and they treated my mother like shit for not staying with him, so we were a little black sheep family amongst the perfect white sheep. I know, it doesn't make sense. As the saying goes, no one in a family hates an abuser more than the truth teller. Pretty sure it's not a saying, but you get the point. I am the black sheep's son, so when Grandma Judy passed away there was no longer anyone trying to keep me in the family. I blamed myself for being too unavailable, but 12 years later I can't believe my own family saw us losing our best person as an opportunity to cut out a scared 13-year-old. I deserved better. I refused to tolerate the narcissistic abuse anymore and moved in with my then fiancé, at the age of 21. At the age of 25, I married said fiancé. 3 days after the wedding, I told my family in person that we'd gotten married. They haven't talked to me since, and I'll be 28 later this month. I left the neighborhood, then I left the city, then I immigrated to Washington State, a place most of the family couldn't find on a map. There was conflict when I wouldn't come back to dispute the reading of Pop's will. We have made our own life out here, no Goombas, no wannabe mafioso. My family has grown up away from that tradition, by being born to my mother, who was already a black sheep because she was born 5 years after her 4 siblings, as a pleasant surprise. Most people don't become the black sheep. They're born it. I left for California as a libertarian tech bro and came home 5 years later as a leftist trans girl with a Mexican immigrant boyfriend. I refused to allow my father to manipulate and control me anymore. The family dynamic was so toxic and directed only at me. I refused to be in the circus anymore. I went to therapy and didn't have kids or got married at 20. I have 3 professional careers. I attended college, but I dropped out. I worked 2 jobs. I stood up to my narcissistic father. Everyone in my family has a science or maths-based career. Not me. I'm an editor. I like words. They look at me like I've kicked a puppy. Supporting my sibling when my step-parent was continually unfair about them. Went from being the unwilling favorite to she who must not be named. Thankfully my in-laws are amazing. I stopped putting up with the way my family was talking to me and treating me, and snapped on every single one of them individually throughout time. Suddenly no one remembered what was done to me, and it seemed like it no longer existed. I was always a black sheep, but that really solidified it. I didn't do anything that wasn't done to me first. Working overseas, gaining a lot of weight, being an alcoholic. You name it. Everything in my lifestyle pissed off my father. My mother got divorced, so she's a black sheep, and I'm her kid, plus I succeed in spite of their lack of support, so they're also embarrassed by wanting to break the mold of their toxicity. I left in March of my senior year. I had turned 18 that January and I never, ever looked back. Liberal, punk-loving guy who isn't afraid to call out family members on their bullshit. People do not like being called out on their bullshit. I came out. Now I'm basically no contact with everyone but my brother and dad, and I'm fairly low contact with my dad. It's not like it's a super healthy relationship there. I'm diagnosed bipolar BPD in high school, so my moods were explosive, and I grew up in religion, so we never talked about it. After college I got addicted to alcohol. I'm currently living with my parents. We'll go days without talking, jobless, and constantly drinking. Meanwhile my younger brothers have stable jobs and relationships. I'm just a disappointment. I lived with my mom, who was out Christian, and I was queer. After a series of unfortunate events, I ended up living with my PK dad, and am tolerated by mom's side of the family. Being moderately progressive, average-sized, cultured, and travels while everyone else is very conservative, gigantic, and has never tasted a new food or left their hometown since they were 10 years old. I left my dad in small town and moved overseas. I'm the first to do that in over 3 centuries, and definitely the first to leave the country entirely. To quote the man who my grandparents charged with watching over me in the 3rd year they let me watch their incredible house while they vacationed in Florida for the winter, "I'll never tell." Well, my mom's family and my dad's family have always hated each other. There's even a long-running joke about pushing each other into a highway. Then my mother from the Rodriguez side of the family and my father from the Lorenzi side got married. Basically I am considered a disgrace to family history on both sides of the family. Not much to it. It was mostly the getting kicked out of lots of schools and getting arrested 20-something times from the time I was a teenager. My greater extended family were all side-eyes about it, but thankfully I did have this one uncle who ignored the black sheepiness and who saved my life. Stepmom was jealous my dad paid attention to me. She stopped that shit right quick. I talk to none of them now, existing. My family needs someone to hate. The people who did seem to get along with my cut me off when I went no contact with my horrible, abusive parents. They didn't care about my side of things. Had undiagnosed major depression, ADHD, and anxiety, didn't get an official diagnosis till I was in college. Had difficulty in school, middle school through college, and was always struggling with my grades. Then I got arrested when I was 18, and it just solidified my black sheep status. Lol. Crappy older siblings controlled most of the narrative, misunderstood at youth, accident that changed my life, drugs and alcohol followed. I eventually redeemed myself by getting my master's at an Ivy League, my father's alma mater, the only child to do so. I was a girl born to a misogynistic mother. After she divorced my father, she married a fellow misogynist and have birthed to get perfection, sacred, godlike son. After my daughter died I got addicted to prescription sedatives and sleeping pills and was really out of it at a family dinner out, and was later informed I embarrassed my extended family. I felt like the black sheep for a while. My mom wanted a daughter after my brother was born. I'm not a girl. She's hated me ever since. I'm emo and mentally ill. I have nothing in common with them and they all think I'm strange. Still love each other to pieces. Don't know when or how it happened, but it became crystal clear when I finally pushed back against my family as an adult. I haven't spoken to any of them in years. Not being addicted to overworking myself all the time and instead having a healthy work and life balance. The first sheep left. She had all sorts of wild problems. I just had different views, so once she left I was the odd one out. Still am now. I'm autistic, mother doesn't believe in mental health and refused to get me tested or any support. End up having a variety of behavioral issues. According to mother I'm possessed by demon. Man. Me and my younger brother both are the only ones who don't speak any Russian. Me especially, because as a little kid I spoke it, but forgot over time, which caused a huge rift between me and my grandparents especially, who are slowly forgetting English, and the rest of my family, because I basically represent full assimilation into American society. At 18 I decided I didn't want to be a Christian anymore. I went from the exemplary golden child who was used as a benchmark for my siblings, cousins and friends to an outcast who may as well not exist. I had to completely start over, building friends, and only my direct family are involved in my life. Apparently by marrying my husband I'm white, he's brown, rejecting religion, and voting for Democrats. Atheist and refused to baptize our kids. Also wife came to the US as an undocumented immigrant. 1-2 punch in my conservative family. I became a teacher. My family had so many bad and abusive teachers that many of my aunts and uncles and cousins immediately associated me with them. I was the only one who went to university. Turns out university is good for things like developing critical thinking skills as well as giving you general life experience. Not saying I'm smarter than all of them, but you know, most of them are anti-vax and didn't believe in COVID, so yeah. Conservative Catholic family. At a young age I didn't believe and then went down a different path of music, partying, drugs, tattoos, piercings, and traveling. No one in my family does what I do nor had interest. Grew up away. Only me and my parents in this city. The rest of the family living far. Didn't develop any feeling for them and vice versa. Maternal side having a spine and not putting up with shitty behavior. Paternal side similar but started with being half Cuban then deciding I had an opinion. No. They are the sheep, I'm a wolf. Can't be part of the flock regardless. They're all but smellers, following the ass in front of him. Still love you fam. I never agreed and thought for myself, corrected English and said what I thought, all of which I was told were good things by my family. I started questioning their methods of planning things and finances, as they never save for the future or have a proper execution plan for anything that they want to do, e.g. build a home. They won't save the money I send them, they won't save that either. But they want to build a good house. When you question how you will do that, they have nothing in mind. Oh, I'm very different from my siblings. I'm the second child, left-handed, have ADHD and RLS, am the only one working a job. I do most of the outside work, all my technology is either bought by me or handed down to me. I'm second out of 4 but everyone else gets new stuff. And I have the smallest room. I was the only one on both my mom and dad's side to not be Baptist or go into a science field. I am the shortest in my still living family. Adopted or not, we all have our ways of being the black sheep. But being a mystery grandchild? That's next level.